until she had removed her noble expression. With a jerk that started the pulses in her temples throbbing like two toothaches, she straightened up in her chair. All along the back of her neck the little blonde curls began to crisp very ticklingly at their roots. Still staring worriedly out over the old city's slate-gray head to that inciting prance of green across the farthest horizon, she felt her whole being kindle to an indescribable passion of revolt against all hushed places. Seething with fatigue, smouldering with ennui, she experienced suddenly a wild, almost incontrollable impulse to sing, to shout, to scream from the housetops, to mock somebody, to defy everybody, to break laws, dishes, heads, anything in fact that would break with a crash. And then at last, over the hills and far away, with all the outraged world at her heels, to run, and run, and run, and run, and run, and laugh, till her feet ravelled out, and her lungs burst, and there was nothing more left of her at all, ever, ever any more. Discordantly into this rapturously pagan vision of pranks and posies broke one of her roommates all a-whiff with ether, a whir with starch. Instantly, with the first creak of the door-handle, the white-linen nurse was on her feet, breathless, resentful, grotesquely defiant. "Get out of here, Zillah Forsythe!" she cried furiously. "Get out of here quick, and leave me alone! I want to think." Perfectly serenely the newcomer advanced into the room. With her pale ivory-tinted cheeks, her great limpid brown eyes, her soft dark hair parted Madonna-like across her beautiful brow, her whole face was like some exquisite, composite picture of all the saints of history. Her voice also was amazingly tranquil. "Oh, fudge!" she drawled. "What's eating you, Ray McGregor? I won't either get out. It's my room just as much as it is yours, and Helene's just as much as it is ours. And besides," she added more briskly, "it's 4 o'clock now, and with graduation at 8, and the dance afterwards, if we don't get our stuff packed up now, when in thunder shall we get it done?" Quite irrelevantly she began to laugh. Her laugh was perceptibly shriller than her speaking voice. "Say, Ray," she confided, "that minister I nursed enough pneumonia last winter wants me to pose as sanctity for a stained-glass window in his new church. Isn't he the softy?" "Shall you do it?" quizzed Ray McGregor a trifle tensely. "Shall I do it?" mocked the newcomer. "Well, you just watch me. 4 mornings a week in June, at full week's wages, fresh Easter lilies every day, white silk angel robes, all the high soles and high paints kowtowing around me. Why, it would be more fun than a box of monkeys. Sure, I'll do it." Expeditiously as she spoke, the newcomer reached up for the framed motto over her own ample mirror, and yanking it down with one single tug, began to busy herself adroitly with a snarl in the picture cord. Like a width of willow yearning over a brook, her slender figure curved to the task. Very scintillatingly, the afternoon light seemed to brighten suddenly across her lap. "You'll be a long time dead," glinted the motto through its sun-dazzled glass. Still panting with excitement, still bristling with resentment, Ray McGregor stood surveying the intrusion and the intruder. A dozen impertinent speeches were rioting in her mind. Twice her mouth opened and shut before she finally achieved the particular opprobrium that completely satisfied her. "Bah! You look like a trained nurse," she blurted forth at last with hysterical triumph. "So do you," said the newcomer amiably. With a little gasp of dismay, Ray McGregor sprang suddenly forward. Her eyes were flooded with tears. "Why, that's just exactly what's the matter with me!" she cried. "My face is all worn out trying to look like a trained nurse. Oh, Zillah, how do you know you were meant to be a trained nurse? How does anybody know? Oh, Zillah, save me, save me!" Languorously, Zillah Forsythe looked up from her work and laughed. Her laugh was like the accidental tinkle of sleigh bells in midsummer, vaguely disquieting, a shiver of frost across the face of a lily. "Save you from what, you great big overgrown, tow-headed doll baby?" she questioned blandly. "For heaven's sake, the only thing you need is to go back to whatever toy shop you came from and get a new head. What in creation's the matter with you lately, anyway? Oh, of course you've had rotten luck this past month, but what of it? That's the trouble with you country girls, you haven't got any stamina." With slow, shuffling-footed astonishment, Ray Malgregor stepped out into the center of the room. "Country girls?" she repeated blankly. "Why, you're a country girl yourself." "I am not!" snapped Zillah Forsythe. "I'll have you understand that there are 9,000 people in the town I come from, and not a Ruby among them. Why, I tended soda fountain in the swellest drug store there a whole year before I even thought of taking up nursing. And I wasn't as green when I was 6 months old as you are now." Slowly, with a soft, snuggling sigh of contentment, she raised her slim white fingers to coax her dusky hair a little looser, a little farther down, a little more Madonna-like across her sweet, mild forehead, then snatching out abruptly at a convenient shirt-waist, began with extraordinary skill to apply its dangly lace sleeves as a protective bandage for the delicate glass-faced motto still in her lap, placed the completed parcel with inordinate scientific precision in the exact corner of her packing-box, and then went on very diligently, very zealously, to strip the men's photographs from the mirror on her bureau. There were 27 photographs in all, and for each one she had already cut and prepared a small square of perfectly fresh, perfectly immaculate white tissue wrapping paper. No one so transcendently fastidious, so exquisitely neat, in all her personal habits, had ever trained in that particular hospital before. Very soberly the doll-faced girl stood watching the men's pleasant paper countenances smooth away one by one into their chaste white veilings, until at last, quite without warning, she poked an accusing, inquisitive finger directly across Zillah Forsythe's shoulder. "Zillah!" she demanded peremptorily. "All the year I've wanted to know, all the year every other girl in our class has wanted to know. Where did you ever get that picture of the senior surgeon? He never gave it to you in the world. He didn't. He didn't. He's not that kind." Deeply into Zillah Forsythe's pale, ascetic cheek dawned a most amazing dimple. "Sort of jarred you girls some, didn't it?" she queried, "to see me strutting around with a photo of the senior surgeon?" The little cleft in her chin showed suddenly with almost startling distinctness. "Well, seeing it's you," she grinned, "and the year's all over, and there's nobody left that I can worry about it any more, I don't mind telling you in the least that I bought it out of a photographer's showcase. There, are you satisfied now?" With easy nonchalance she picked up the picture in question and scrutinized it shrewdly. "Lord, what a face!" she attested. "Nothing but granite. Hack him with a knife and he wouldn't bleed, but just chip off into pebbles." With exaggerated contempt she shrugged her supple shoulders. "Bah! How I hate a man like that! There's no fun in him." A little abruptly she turned and thrust the photograph into Ray Mulgregor's hand. "You can have it if you want to," she said. "I'll trade it to you for that lace corsette cover of yours." Like water dripping through a sieve, the photograph slid through Ray Malgregor's frightened fingers. With nervous apology she stooped and picked it up again, and held it gingerly by one remotest corner. Her eyes were quite wide with horror. "Oh, of course I'd like the picture well enough," she stammered, "but it wouldn't seem exactly respectful to trade it for a corsette cover." "Oh, very well," drawled Zillah Forsythe. "Tear it up, then." Expeditiously, with frank, non-sentimental fingers, Ray Malgregor tore the tough cardboard across, and again across, and once again across, and threw the conglomerate fragments into the waste-basket. And her expression all the time was no more, no less than the expression